The summer issue of Coming of Age magazine included an article titled "What's Good About Growing Older?" The article described many benefits and reasons why we should be cheerful as we age. Joining me now to expand upon the points in her article is the author, Kathleen Logan. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for including me.
Well, before we get into all this, I want to say thank you very much for all you do as a board member of the Council on Aging in West Florida. You have just always been someone that could be counted on, as all board members are, and you and your husband have been sponsors of events and also the cover couple of one of the Perfectly Aged calendars. So you've been a strong...
Which people still remember.
You've been helping us for quite some time, and we appreciate that. But before we get in really to the article itself, tell us a little bit about your experience as an author and speaker and corporate trainer.
It's been a wonderful experience. Since the book came out, I've had opportunities to go to libraries, churches, women's groups, in Texas and Colorado, Chicago, North Carolina, and was the featured speaker at a couple conferences, one in Myrtle Beach and one at the Council on Aging last summer that we went to in Orlando. Many opportunities. The other fun thing right here in town is at Angel's Garden Gift Shop. I did a session, the latest one this last Monday, and their conversations, and this particular one was on courage.
Great, great. Well, in the book that you mentioned, Second Blooming, you talk about the positive side of aging, and why is that so important to be positive?
For starters, our society treasures youth. It's youth overall, and when you get old, you are devalued. But interestingly, the happiest people are older. That happiness is high, and then it dips for people, excuse me, in the 40s. And then starting in the 50s, 60s, 70s, happiness goes up. It's also a very healthy thing. People who are engaged are happy and their health is better, their well-being is much improved.
Well, that ties back into the article that was in Coming of Age, the What's Good About Growing Older, which did bring out several themes from your conversations with people, and some you said were even somewhat surprising, maybe.
Yes.
Which ones were most prevalent and why among the people that you spoke with?
The biggest one was freedom. I think every single person I talked to said freedom, freedom from responsibilities, freedom to make choices for myself, freedom to try new things, that it was a wonderful age of exploration again, and that was consistent in men and women.
Well, some of the other themes were self-confidence, family and friends, learning the community and focus and just contentment. How do those others factor into the comments that you got from the people to develop those themes?
What I did not notice, which is surprising because young people think we're all sitting around waiting to die and afraid, and we're not. The older, and I know I speak for myself at the moment, but the older I get, the more enjoyable I feel life is. There was no fear of age or of dying. It was rather an awareness of the opportunities to yet live, to live fully, to perhaps concentrate more rather than be spread all over the area and so many responsibilities. At this point, you can say, I don't need to do that, and man, I can't wait to take on that one, whatever it is.
Well, there's many volunteers at the Council on Aging who do exactly that. They sometimes have busier schedules than the staff, but when they're there, they're committed and they do a great job.
A typical comment among retirees is, I don't know how I used to work. I have no time.
Well, when I looked at those themes, they kind of almost could group them again into two categories of personal well-being, the focus, the contentment, and the freedom, but then also the staying active in the community involvement. How do those work hand in hand?
It's important to be actively engaged, and one of my favorite things to refer to is Erik Erikson, a noted psychologist who identified 8 stages of man, and once you're past 50 and until you get towards the end of life, you're in a stage he called generativity versus stagnation, and the choice is to generate, to instigate, to do and be a valuable contributor to society, or you just sit around and stagnate and go downhill mentally, physically, in every way. That last stage of life is stage 8 is ego integrity versus despair. That's a time when you run out of time. You look back and you say, I lived my life the best I could. I did as much and as well as I could, or I really messed up. I wish I had. And I would encourage, this is such a wonderful opportunity, everybody to take advantage of it, and for young people to look forward to aging, because it's very liberating, quite frankly.
Well, if you had to define briefly cheerful aging or being cheerful as we age to someone, what kind of short answer would you give to that phrase?
Be engaged in your community. And I would also say, I do a session on how to volunteer well. Pick something that means something to you also as well. Don't just do what needs to be done. Make sure that it's of benefit, because nobody likes a grumpy volunteer. You're not useful to do well. I really should do it. That is not a great attitude. Understand what your talents, strengths, and skills are and where your interests lie. If you love children, be a mentor. Go volunteer at a school. If you're an artist, go paint. But decide what you have special, because each one of us is special, unique, has wonderful contributions to make.
What if you've got someone who really wants to do that and does have talents to share, but maybe just doesn't know how to begin that process? They just pick up the phone, or do they talk to friends? How do they try to get plugged into a place where they can give back like that?
Well, try things. And I heard the best suggestion ever, which was when I volunteered, this was someone else speaking, when I volunteered, at first I said, I will try this for 3 months, and then I will decide if this is the place I want to stay. And I thought, what a good idea. So that sometimes people get in and they don't like it, and they don't know how to get out of it. So putting a time limit, and try several different things. But first and foremost, know who you are. What is it you like? What is it you feel you need to be doing and want to be doing? And then trust yourself and follow those instincts. Another wonderful suggestion I heard was, if you see somebody else doing things he or she likes, follow that person for a little while. See if that's a good path for you. And then say, yeah, I like that, and I don't like that. But assess for yourself what is working or not.
Well, you talk a lot about self-confidence, and say maybe for someone who doesn't quite have that self-confidence, or maybe for an unfortunate reason is adjusting to freedom again. What would be your parting advice before we wrap up?
I did a session Monday, as I mentioned, on courage, and what I suggested was that people start a courage bank, like a piggy bank, and on a little slip of paper, when they've had a success, just write it down and stick it in. I had a baby and I lived. Stick it in the pot. I had a job. They never fired me. Put it in the pot. And when you're having a down day, empty the piggy bank and say, oh, I did all that. Courage breeds courage, which means sticking your neck out. Fear breeds fear. So I would encourage everyone. We don't have to be doing fabulously huge run up the burning building kinds of things. It takes courage to live from day to day, and we are all capable of that.
Perfect advice. Thank you so much for all you do and for that wonderful advice, and I hope more people will reach out and hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.